Welcome to the Empowered Aging Podcast. Your host is Michelle, a physical therapist passionate about helping older adults stay active, mobile, and independent. Let's dive into today's topic.
So in today's podcast, I wanted to go a little bit more in depth on what I wrote my blog on this week, and that is on yoga, and specifically chair yoga versus traditional yoga. So today I wanted to show you some things about chair yoga that are a little iffy and can actually be more damaging to your spine than traditional yoga and the benefits thereof. So if you haven't read the blog yet, that would be a good place to start, and then watch this video and see what you think. I'm giving you some ideas on ways that traditional yoga can really be helpful and maybe not so scary. So give it a try, and I'll see you on the other side. Chair yoga has been a really popular way of doing yoga with seniors for a while now. And I think the belief is that it's easier, it's safer, and quite honestly, I think a lot of people are avoiding getting on the floor. But regardless, chair yoga seems to be synonymous to gentle yoga. But I kind of have to take issue with that, because there are certain moves when you're seated that are actually more risky because of the position of the spine. Now, some people can get into this nice straight posture, have really good alignment, and these movements in the chair are fine. But if you have any type of postural issue, or if you don't have good awareness of what a good upright posture is, then it's very likely that doing chair yoga is putting you at greater risk of possibly fracturing one of the vertebrae, and that can lead to a lot of problems. So I would suggest trying something different, trying yoga on the floor, or if that is really just out of the question, doing something standing, but not seated. If you're not sure what is safe and what isn't, then I would strongly recommend you talk to your yoga teacher. I'm hoping that you, if you're taking a class now, are going to someone who is open to helping you with these issues, because it's very important that you be sitting well with good posture. So I want to show you some things that I do in my class on the floor that help to get these movements that I think are not as safe when you're sitting down. It just takes the worry out of it. When you're seated, there's just so much more like, am I lined up now or not? So getting down on the floor kind of takes that worry away. So let's get into it. So I want to start with some on our backs first. It's a great way to work core without the strain and possibility of being out of alignment. Now, when we go down to the floor, going onto our backs, it's important to protect your back in just this movement in and of itself. So I always recommend people go down onto their side first and then roll back onto the back. Now, I like to use a yoga block between the knees to help activate the core. So we first, in my classes, start in this position. Squeezing the block gives a little bit more of a core engagement. You'll find that when you relax, things aren't really tensed, but as soon as you squeeze that yoga block, all these core muscles in your pelvis and abdomen start to fire. And that's going to be great for core strengthening. It's going to help with posture. So once we get that core engaged, I like people to start feeling their pelvis. I've been surprised by how many people actually have difficulty isolating this pelvic movement. And that is really quite crucial to getting ourselves lined up well in whatever task, whether it be yoga or yard work or housework or picking something up. It's important that we know how to isolate these movements so that we can protect our backs. So we do some of this exploration here. Our pelvis is designed to move in all directions. We go back and forward. We do circles and side to side, just experiencing that movement. And then we learn how to isolate that pelvis in a still position, keeping it stable as we add movement. So something we might do is keeping that block between the knees, giving it a good squeeze. I'm going to keep my pelvis in a good alignment, which means my back is not going to rock as I take this ball overhead. Now, if I did not have a stable pelvis, if I weren't holding it still, then what might happen is, as I reach up, my back might arch, and as I come down, my back might flatten. Now, sometimes we want that movement, but sometimes we don't. We need to be able to isolate it, move it when we want it to move, and not move it when we want it to be stable. So this is a nice, easy, simple exercise to work on that stability. Now, this is something that has been done often seated, but I usually see people rounding their backs, moving their backs as they raise that ball up and down because they don't have good understanding of their posture. And I think being on the floor, we get more of that input right here. So I can feel when I'm rounding my back because my back flattens and hits the floor. I can feel when my back arches because now my low back is off of the floor. So I get the feedback of the floor to help me know what's happening. I can then up the ante a little bit and start doing leg movements. Again, I'm keeping my pelvis stable, my core is well engaged, and I'm lifting one knee, then the other. Again, this could be done seated, but the tendency is when the leg comes up, the back rounds, which then puts more pressure on that back. And then we can really up the ante with legs being up in the air, moving arms, moving the legs, all sorts of different ways of challenging ourselves, challenging our core really well, and yet we're not setting ourselves up for potential injury. Even if my pelvis were to move, I'm in a position such that my spine is in this position not going to be crunching upward. I don't have all my weight driving down. This is the position of least compression through the spine. So it's the safest place to exercise it. So those are some things we can do on our backs to help core. Another thing I like to do when we're on the floor is the spinal twist. Again, a very common thing done in the chair, but when I see it done, I often see the spine crunching down and then twisting. So by being on the floor here, I'm more stable. I'm not inclined to be slouched when I twist. So I line myself up here. I can support my head. I could use a blanket if I wanted to, if I couldn't put my arm up here. And by reaching forward, I'm twisting my upper back in the forward position, and then I pull backward. But I try to keep my knees forward so that the twist is really in my spine. So going back and forth in this position, again, no compression going through my spine. And then, of course, it's a great place to work my hips and my knees. I can do leg lifts here. Again, I'm really working core if I truly isolate the leg. Many times I have people do these exercises and they're all over the place. The pelvis is moving, they're kicking in different directions, which, look, it's not necessarily a bad thing unless you're trying to isolate a movement. Or if you have any type of back issues, you want to definitely be able to stabilize things and move just the one thing you want to move. So we've done things on the back, we've done things on the side. We also have some great things to do with our face down. So rolling it then onto our stomachs. You may have, or maybe you know people who have that hump at the top of their backs, right? That rounding. That's a tough one to work when you're upright. It's harder to feel that section moving and really isolate it. So I find that this position is maybe a little bit easier, still challenging, but a little easier. So with our head down, I have people lift their head and shoulders without lifting their sternum, that breastbone, off the mat. So by having this feeling of the mat, I have that touch point. It helps to isolate the upper back. Now, if you have any back issues, we can modify by putting pillow or blankets or something under the hips to take a little pressure off the low back. We can also do some great exercises for what we call the posterior chain, all those muscles on the backs of our bodies that help us stay upright, help fight that rounded posture. We can do things with our arms, we can do things with our legs and hips. And of course, we can really get a nice back bend in a nice supported position so there's really minimal compression through the back when we're in this prone position. And then an old standby favorite, when you've done things like that, it's nice to take it back into child's pose. Again, lots of modifications are available here for people who can't bend this much. We can put support here behind the knee. We can put a support here at your arms, at your head, so that you don't have to be so low. Lots of different ways to make this easier. And one I like is actually not even with the hips all the way back, but in this position, which is more of that puppy pose. So it's very much like downward dog in that we're getting that nice extension of the back, and it's in this downward position, so we're getting a little bit of tractioning, which is great for the back and helps to overcome that, again, bent posture. And for those people who can handle some pressure on the knees, there's so much we can do in this hands and knees position. And again, there are modifications to make it easier on the knees. So I hope that you can see how much benefit there is to doing yoga moves on the floor. And with the right instructor in the right setting, it can be a really safe way for you to get some exercise to help develop core strength, to help your flexibility, to help your balance, and of course, help you get more comfortable getting on and off the floor. And of course, a chair is always a great option to have to help you get on and off the floor. Nothing wrong with that. So if you're interested in learning more, if you want to try something new in a small environment, check out my classes, give it a try. Or simply speak with your yoga instructor and try to get some clues and ways to make it work for you. So I hope that gives you some things to think about and things to try, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us today. If this episode helped you learn something new, we hope you'll share it with someone who could benefit as well. Until next time, keep moving, stay strong, and take care of your body.